Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Thank you for agreeing to be a part of the National Archive and Oral History Project.
You're more than welcome.
Can you start out by telling me what is your name?
My name is Rasul Nasir.
Where were you born and who were your parents?
I was born here in Brooklyn, New York, to my lovely mother, Elizabeth Spencer, and my father, Ephraim Spencer, in 1953.
When did you become a member of this community?
I started the process of becoming a member in 1974 as I started my research and studies and looking into the Nation of Islam and their philosophy. And I finally got my ex in May 1975.
Did you join the community alone or with other family members or friends?
I joined it alone by myself, and then my younger brother followed along. And he's the only one from my family that did so at that time. Years later, my two younger sisters came in for a short period.
Are they still a member of our community now?
No, they're not. They went back to Christianity. My two sisters.
When did you join the Nation of Islam again?
1970 officially. I got my ex in 1975.
Talk a little bit about getting your ex. What did that entail?
For me, it was, I'm not the kind of person to jump into anything too quick. Never had been. I began researching the history. Actually, in 1973, when I wrote a composition about Malcolm X to win us a 4-year scholarship to attend Adelphi University. And I wrote that composition and it was accepted. And so I did win a 4-year scholarship titled the Malcolm X Scholarship, which covered my room and board and tuition for 4 years. And then as I got to the campus, I studied, my major was African American Studies for my first semester. Because, at that time I was pro-black and I wanted to know about black history, and I thought I would come back to the community and teach black history. And, my second year I changed the major to communications with a minor in journalism. And my interest in the Nation of Islam continued to grow on my own. And so, having studied all those black studies courses, I said, well, the next best thing for me to do is just keep studying the history, the activities and the history of the Nation of Islam. And I did that on my own before I finally made a visit to Temple 7A in Harlem to hear and witness the lecture of Minister Louis Farrakhan. Having listened to him almost every Sunday prior to that, I decided to go check him out for myself with some of the brothers on the campus who were FOI at the time.
So you're saying that you got a 4-year, full-paid scholarship to a private college in Long Island?
Yeah, private university. Adelphi University is one of the top private universities in the country.
By writing a composition about Malcolm X?
Right. And that year was 1973. And that's strange back in those days. I guess that's the verge. They were trying to, as a political move on their part, to show that the university wasn't as racist as it, actually is, by offering some black studies courses and as well as a scholarship. So I won that scholarship, and I attended there for 4 years. My mom was very happy, and she didn't have to pay a dime. Just gave me a couple of dollars to travel back and forth here and there until I started making some money. Because, I made money throughout the 4 years on campus and doing other things. So I was basically on my own for 4 years, meeting people from around the world for the first time in my life.
What was society like back then?
The black, it was on the end of the black civil rights movement. I remember my first year on the campus, I could put my hand up in a power sign like this. And I did that to one brother one day, and he put his hand back up to me. and he was way across campus. It's not like you can yell at one another, but he saw the motion and my arm going up. He put his arm up with a fist, and so we was still into that black thing and promoting black culture, black history, sticking together, doing things as a people.
This was the early
Being proud.
1970s.
This is 1973. Yeah, being proud young black men and women and sticking together. And for me at that time, it was my involvement was with the Black Student Union. Later on, I got involved with the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, which is a black men's fraternity group on the campus. And back then we stuck together on every cause. I remember leading an effort to protect the women on the campus because there was a rapist running around. And so the students on the campus didn't go to security. They came to me and asked me to lead a group of students as we led a patrol to find this rapist who was moving around in the female's dorm. But luckily, security caught him before we did.
Were there any other Muslims on the college campus at that time?
At that time, there was 4 other brothers, and one of them became a United States congressman, and he ended up changing his religion and went back to Christianity. That's Congressman Gregory Meeks. We were all on the same campus. He was just 1 year ahead of me, and the other 3, I don't know where they went. But I know they all graduated. I think one went back to Christianity. The other 2 are earning a nice living right now in business.
How did you know they were Muslims? Did they dress a certain way?
They dressed like FOI. They had the FOI uniform on when it was time to go to the temple at that time on a Sunday. If you stayed on campus, you saw them in their uniforms, and you knew they were going to the mosque or the temple. So they knew of my interests, and they invited me to come along on a Sunday. So I went.
What in your earliest memories can you say made you different from others?
My ability to take charge and get things done, to lead by example. If I did something, I tried to do my best, and I didn't half step, whether it be playing baseball, marching in the cadet program, military cadet program. I became a drill team captain. Baseball, I was known all throughout the housing project, which was Marcy Housing Project, same place where Jay-Z grew up. But I'm a couple of years older than him. I didn't really know him as we were growing up. And the whole project knew me for playing baseball and being the captain of the baseball teams, and basically whatever I did, I got involved, and became responsible for certain activities, which I didn't mind, because I knew the more you're responsible, the more people will look up to you and respect you. So I always took on challenges like that, and that made me different.
Was that difference, your taking on responsibilities, being a leader, being someone that people can come to, was that the driving force that connected you to the Muslim community?
No, the driving force was the fact that I was, at that time, studying martial arts philosophy and the religion of Islam, or the Nation of Islam philosophies. And I saw a natural connection between the two, and which made my personality even stronger once I decided that I would be a Muslim. So I connected the 2 worlds of martial arts philosophy and the teachings of Islam, the Nation of Islam at the time.
Can you give us an example of how you connected them?
The philosophy of martial arts, would teach you to be humble. And then, as you study the religion of Islam, and then Allah says in the Quran that, He doesn't, I'm saying it in my terms, humility is one of the best doors to get into paradise. And so, being a martial artist, you always wanted to be humble. And hearing that about Islam, the teachers of Islam and being a better human being is to be humble. So that's just one philosophy that just naturally made me, as I took both in, said, yeah, I want to be humble, and I think I was always humble. I was never braggadocious, and so I liked both. I said I could be a part of this.
Did you ever see or meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Sister Clara Muhammad, Master Farad Muhammad, or Imam W.D.Mohammed?
The only one I met in that name group that you just mentioned was the Imam Wallace D. Muhammad. We didn't meet, but I've been right by his side. He knew of me through his brother Elijah Muhammad, who I did meet and talk to, and I still talk to today. I've been close enough to, in security. I've had the opportunity to help secure him in different situations while he visited the New York area several times. And he did see my book that I wrote on Secure Your Life, and the word got back to me through his brother that I should continue to work on it and develop it. At that time, the FOI were no more, and he was always interested in making a new security program for our community. And so my book got his attention. And so EM2, Elijah Muhammad II, his older brother, who was the main man of the FOI, who took care, he basically took care of the security of the membership. Raymond Sharif was more like the businessman, but Elijah Muhammad was the man in charge of all security. So, my book, it was written to rebuild a whole new security program for our community on a professional basis. And from what I was told by Elijah Muhammad, that his brother Wallace, the Imam, liked the book, and that I should continue to work on it, which I'm doing now.
Even though you said you didn't have the opportunity to meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Sister Clara Muhammad, or Master Farad Muhammad, what was your impression of them?
I think for what they did and what they had to go through, they were great individuals, and I do believe that their work was a divine plan for the African American people who agreed to accept their leadership. And they were just special people, and they were here for a reason. And they prepared the way, they gathered the people together so that their son, Wallace, could take over and teach us what Allah wants of us through the Quran. And I think he did a great job doing it.
Well, since you had the opportunity to secure Imam W.D.Mohammed, can you tell me a little bit more and elaborate on your impression of him?
I think, having been this close to him, he was the most pious man, but yet the most powerful man because of his piety. And as I said earlier, humility is what opens the door for you. People don't want to be bothered with an arrogant person, but your humility and your intelligence opens doors. And I saw that in him more than I saw it in anyone else. I was impressed with that the moment I heard him. The first time I heard him speak, when he came to that last FOI class. And that's the first time I heard him speak and saw him. Which was, I believe, in 1975 at Malcolm Shabazz Masjid, 7A in Harlem. And that's at that point is I gotta mention Minister Farrakhan had introduced him, and Minister Farrakhan more or less was introducing him as a man that he humbled himself to, and that this was his teacher. So for me to hear that and see that, and just to witness his words still has an effect on me today. So I don't see anyone ever replacing him. I think he did what he had to do, but I think we must continue to move forward and move on.
Can you tell me a little bit about the spirit or the atmosphere of that last FOI meeting?
The FOI class was packed. There's no space. I mean, the whole building was packed all the way downstairs. I think outside. I was inside, so I got there early enough to make sure I was inside. But it was all the brothers there, and it was packed. You know, everybody was excited, and for many that was the first time hearing him speak. You know, some had heard him speak prior. Wallace D. Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, and it was just a special day that those that were there will never forget.
Thank you for sharing that. Did you serve in any capacity or attend the University of Islam in your childhood during those times?
I never attended the University of Islam. My parents sent me to the public school system, and you know, I just joined the nation, as I said earlier, as a young adult. So, which was in 1974, 75, and I did that on my own as a college student. Immediately when I came in, the lieutenant of that FOI class at Temple 7C, Muhammad's Temple 7C, which is now called Masjid Abdul Musi Khalifa in Brooklyn, New York. The lieutenant was, at that time, his name was Richard 8X, and later he changed his name. He got his, what we was calling then the holy names from, he got his holy name from Wallace D. Muhammad, Minister Wallace D. Muhammad at the time, to Farid BR. He became Captain BR. And so immediately then when I came in, he signed me to the sound room, because I had told him I was a college student. I was into TV and radio and sound, you know, and so he put me in the sound room there, which I, you know, was responsible for leading the team and making sure the sound went throughout the building at 7C, and the transmissions of our monthly meetings from Chicago, or whenever the minister or Imam Muhammad wanted to speak from Chicago, we would set up the system so the sound would go and make the connections via the phone and what have you back in those days. You know, today we can do it through the internet, but so I went from there to being involved in teaching martial arts. They discovered I could, you know, I was into the martial arts and offered me an opportunity to teach classes. So I started teaching the brothers and sisters, whoever would come, under the leadership of the Imam at that time, Imam Siraj Wahaj. I taught there maybe twice a week, and 1979, I believe. And later on, years later, I got an appointment to become the head of security at the masjid and train the brothers in security and security procedures. You know, because I picked up a lot during the days of my early days in the FOI class under Lieutenant Richards, and he taught me a lot, along with Captain Yusuf Shah from Harlem. I knew, you know, whenever I went to Harlem, Yusuf Shah always wanted to drop something on me. So I remember those days, and they sunk in. So when I received the opportunity to become head of security, and you know, I had to design a program that continued to train the brothers as we were leaving the Nation of Islam and transitioning into being Muslims as we are today under the leadership of Imam W.D.Mohammed. And so that was a process, you know, but I'm still working on that too. You know, training never stops. So I'm still involved in that process of training men and women in security and hand-to-hand combat and those kinds of things.
As a member of the Muslim community, what was your most memorable moment or event?
Most memorable moment or event. The most memorable moment for me was when I was side by side with the Imam. When I was sitting at the table right across from him at the Westchester Convention. And, I think he had a business meeting or something like that with some group of people. And I was maybe one or two or three brothers in that same close-up area, making sure everything was running smoothly for him. And, just being close to him probably was the most memorable for me. We felt that whenever we protected the Imam, we felt like the Secret Service protecting President Obama. And we did it, most of us did it, vis-a-vis Allah. It was no salary. And even though later on, I believe the Imam started paying certain individuals a salary according to their qualifications. I was never licensed to carry, but I carried other things. Always carried my hands and other tools of the trade. So just being close to him was the most memorable for me. I did other things. In the Masjid 7C, we developed a paper called Bilalian Journal, which was a local paper like the Bilalian News out of Chicago. And we decided to do the Bilalian Journal because we felt the Bilalian News out of Chicago didn't cover Brooklyn or local news in our area. So because of my major and my background in journalism also, I was asked to head that effort up, and we did several publications under that name in the early days, 1979, 1980, or something like that.
So why not send your articles or information to the Muslim Journal?
Because the Muslim Journal, at that time, we felt wasn't receptive to news and information in Brooklyn. So we decided to publish our own. And we had a readership that was waiting to hear it and see it. So we did it.
What contributions did you or your family members make to our community?
Well, I just told you about all my contributions. My family, there was none. Except my wife now. My wife now, she was involved in the Girl Scout program at Masjid 7C. And she raised her kids as Muslims. She had kids before me, so, and she was able to do that and contribute as a Girl Scout leader, Girl Scout leader, and other events that we did that was going on in the temple.
How do you see the future of our community? Think about it in terms of your security background, your martial arts background, your intellectual.
If we follow what Imam Muhammad left and do as he inscribed for us to do with his tafsirs, the future is great and the future is bright. And I say if because people tend to wander. But if we stay on that path, that mustaqim, that straight path, as mu'minun, then the path is going to get more successful for us. We're going to have great things coming at us. I'm taking my work seriously in security for our community, and we came up with a name called True Human Security, which is a name we developed after hearing Imam Muhammad give the answer to what is a Muslim. He's a true human. And so, following up from my book, I decided to continue on with the work.